We are gonna finish up some in Tafrei Shadi Beis, and we're gonna learn Sif Dalit today in Hilchus Purim. It's gonna be a very relevant Sif regarding if you're allowed to eat before the Megillah, and regarding in a pressing situation, could you read the Megillah before three stars come out or not? The Shulchan Aruch begins by saying, by quoting the Trumas Hadeshin, which the truth of the matter is, we already saw this in the Beis Yosef a few sessions ago. Mishu anus ksas ve'inu yochel eilich lebeis hakneses. Someone who has a slight extenuating circumstance and is unable to go to shul, and he needs to wait until after the entire congregation read the Megillah. It's very difficult for him to fast so much so. So according to the Trumas Hadeshen, which we're going to see that many argue on and do not hold this way, but according to the Shulchan Aruch, according to the Trumas Hadeshen, he is able to hear the Megillah while it is still day, as long as it is after Plaga Mincha. Says the Ramah, Aval Osir le'echol koldim shishma kriyas Megillah. It is prohibited to eat before you hear the Megillah being laned, being read. Afilu atainis kashalov, even if the fast is very difficult for you, it is still nevertheless prohibited to eat. Not allowed to. So, why? The obvious question is why? Why is it prohibited to eat? So before we go any further, I'd like to pull up on the screen over here the Lavush, who really says it in a few words very nicely. Shekain tiknu likrois hamegillah koidem achila shalo yavo levatla. The rabbis, they enacted first Megillah before you eat. Why? So that you won't come to nullify it. The rabbis are very wise. And they know that Megillah is very unique because you're coming off of a fast and going into it. You're going to be tired and very hungry at the end of the day. Once people start eating, they're content, but then they get sleepy after and tired. And they're not going to be able to focus properly on the Megillah. Even if they make it to the Megillah, they might fall asleep because they're so tired. It's not a coincidence that people tend to take naps after a big meal on Shabbos morning. And on Shabbos night, they get tired because the big meals, when you eat a lot, it makes you tired. So therefore, this explains the Lavush is why it's prohibited to eat before the Megillah. The Mishnah Berurah begins by saying, "V'sorach lahamtin," you need to wait. V'roitza loimer sheyavo echad likroya lefonav. You need to wait for someone to come in front of you to read in front of you. D'mikoydem also le'echol, because beforehand it's prohibited to eat. Kemoylin in kriyat shema simin le'el simin reish lamed hey. It's prohibited to eat similar to Shema in simin reish lamed hey. The next Mishnah Berurah says Plag HaMincha, as long as it is after Plag HaMincha, do Shor Via Koydem Alayla. Plag HaMincha is an hour, a halachic hour and a quarter before night. That time, and what's the reason for this? The Kevin de Chashina Leilaila in Tilas Harish Yochel Ispal Bismanahu Chashvina Leilaila. Sorry, the Kevin de Chashvina Leilaila in Tfilas Arvis. Just like when it comes to Ma'ariv, this is already considered night regarding Ma'ariv, that you are able to daven at this time, aka from a halachic perspective, technically speaking, you could daven after Plaga Mincha, albeit not lechatchila. It's also considered night regarding this matter, aka laning the Megillah. Okay? Now, comes along the next Mr. Berurah, and this is where things get very relevant over here. Mishnah Berurah in Yudal, it says you're not allowed to eat, yeah? Okay. Ayin Mogan Avram. Look at the Mogan Avram, which of course we already learned this Mogan Avram. Shemasik, who concludes the Davka le'inyan achilo also aval te'ima ba'al mashari. There's a difference between eating, which is prohibited. However, tasting is permissible. How much are you eating? Are you having, a slice of an apple? You're having one baby carrot? That's fine. That's tasty. That's not eating. However, eating a full meal is prohibited. And therefore, it's best that a person could be lenient, that you could be lenient for this person to taste before the reading of Megillah. In other words, Someone who really needs to eat. The best is you should be lenient and you should taste before the Megillah. That's the best what he should do over here. Right. And don't be lenient and read the Megillah from Praga Mincha onwards. In other words, this ruling of the Shulchan Aruch is passing like the Chumas Hadeshin, who says if you gotta eat, read the Megillah earlier, Praga Mincha. Says the Mogen Avram, says the Mishnah Berurah, no, don't do such a thing. Don't eat before the Megillah. Taste something. Taste something before the Megillah, but be involved with Megillah in the proper time, aka after when 3 stars emerge. Seitel Chavim. Why? The Pri Chadash Kara Tiger Al Kulazal. The Pri Chadash already doesn't like this leniency at all. We saw this Pri Chadash, if I'm not mistaken, it was quoted by Rabbi Akiva Eger. The Pri Chadash is fiery against this, and the Pri Chadash holds v'daisoy dekoidim seitel chavim eni yoytzei klal afilu b'diavad. He holds that before, when 3 stars emerge, you wouldn't fulfill your obligation at all, even b'diavad. You wouldn't fulfill your obligation. It's also implied from the Gra this way in his biur. So therefore, do not have the Megillah read for you by after Plaga Mincha. Wait till 3 stars emerge. If you have to eat, just taste something, but don't eat too much. Even tasting, says the Mishnah Berurah, you could only be lenient in a pressing situation. The Hainu meaning chilexas o misha. It's not of a tainis kashalov, someone who's a little sick or someone who fasted and the fast is very difficult for him. Vishir Te'ima. What is halachically considered the amount of tasting? Hainu, this is the size of an egg worth of bread, or beverages the size of a egg. Because of the Pri Megadim, the Pri Megadim writes that according to the Pri Chodesh, afilu bein hashmashos ein lekros. Even bein hashmashos, between sunset and when 3 stars emerge, between Shkia and Seitel Chavim, you should not read the Megillah then. And b'diavad, after the fact, if the Megillah was read during that time between sunset and when 3 stars emerge, he's actually mistapik. He's doubtful over there if that would even count. Unless it was an extenuating circumstance. The hechrach gadol yeshus hadid lahakel, and it was a big need. Then you could decide to be lenient. In other words, if it was an extenuating circumstance or it was a major need to be done, then you could be lenient. But if not, then you shouldn't do it. Because of the Chai Adam writes, "Da filu kara miksasa koidem seitel chavim lo yatsa." Chai Adam says that even if you read some of the Megillah before 3 stars emerged, you would not fulfill your obligation. Even if it was just some of the Megillah you did before. So you started a little bit before when 3 stars emerged and you finish after. Says the Chai Adam, it wouldn't be good. You have to go back, read the whole Megillah again without a bracha. We see, don't mess around with reading the Megillah before 3 stars emerge. That's what we see from this. I'm the Shari Tshuva. Look at the Shari Tshuva. The Shema Birchei Yosef, quoting the Birchei Yosef. Ubibir Halacha. Look at the Be'er Halacha. The Mikol Makol. Nevertheless, Hamekel L'Choyel Yadis Amar Kriyosan Mevoyjem Ksas. Someone who is lenient for a sick person or a woman who just gave birth to speed up the reading of the Megillah while it's still day a little bit. So someone who is lenient and says, okay, we have sick people over here. We have women who just gave birth, and we want to read it earlier for them. Yesh lo ambi lismach. There's what to rely on. There's who to rely on. It seems like, and this kind of answers a question that we posed 3 sessions ago when we started this Simon, maybe four already by now. What's the case of a pregnant woman or a woman that just gave birth that you need to do it earlier? They're not fasting anyways. So you have to say that they felt that they had the ability to fast and they fasted, but now they're hungry. They don't want to fast more. They know the fast is really over. So the Mishnah Brew over here is entertaining the possibility that perhaps in that case they need to eat, not just taste. They want to eat. Forget about it. No one wants just a taste. Everyone wants to eat. Everyone wants to get full. You know, your car is on. There's very little gas left or charge. It could only go another 15 miles. You don't want to plug the car in. You don't want to fill up gas just so that it could go another 7 miles. You're gonna fill it up all the way, go 3, 4, 500 miles. However far cars could go, I think most 400 miles, right? 300, something like that. Depends how fast you're going, practically the weather. But anyways,
Gas?
David's piping in. Anyways, the point is that same thing over here. She wants to fill up all the way. She wants to eat. In that case, says the Mishnah Brewer, you know what? You could do it earlier for them. In that case, they fasted, and now they want to eat. You could do it earlier for them. Good. Mishnah Brewer Tezvav. Koidim sheyishma kriyas Megillah. You're not allowed to eat before hearing the Megillah. Kamola in kriya shma da'arvis. This is similar to Shema by Marav. The asrina meitam Hashem yachtifchem Hashem yivatel mikriyaso. Where the rabbis prohibited eating before Marav because perhaps sleep might grab you and you're gonna forget to recite Shema completely. This is an explicit Gemara in Brachos Dalet Beis in the Bavli in Brachos. And at the end of the day, by Kriya Shema, there's a heter that's given, which is you appoint a shomer. You could tell someone to remind you to say Shema, and then it's permissible to eat. You have other heterim such as minyan kavu, you daven at the same time every single night, so we're assuming that you're not going to forget it in a minyan. Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, others go into, you could set an alarm clock to remind you to daven. That also works like a shomer.
Oh,
Yes, the alarm clock could malfunction, so could the shomer. You
no,
could
I'm saying the
forget.
other way around. If
Right?
I'm Mariv, you're at Mariv already in shul,
Yeah.
so what greater shomer do you have than that you go straight into
Right.
Megillah reading?
Right. So you
Just
could
when
say
people are
that.
tired.
The question is, would a shomer even work by Megillah? Why or why not? You're going on with the line. Why not? After all, you're gonna have someone who's gonna remind you. You're ready in shul. You could eat. If you look at the Dirshu, by the way, they talk about you gotta wait for them to start. It's getting schlepped out 5, 10 minutes. You're waiting for everyone in between Marv and Megillah, the kids, the noise. Why not just quickly eat that?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. The Dirshu, take a look over there. They discuss that. They
Obviously,
discuss
they
it.
nix it, I guess.
I never said that. I never said they nix it. I never said that. I said take a look. Comes along the Mishnah Brura. Does he say that? What does he say over here? He says V'im Kain. Let's see if he goes into this. V'im Kain right over here. Kol shekain she'asur liisha in koidim kizm. Yeah, we already saw this line. Certainly, where was this? It's straight out of the Magen Avraham. Certainly, you're not allowed to sleep before the Megillah. V'afilu daisarak liisha kizm. He said, I'm just going to take a quick nap. And the reason is because you might not wake up. We saw this is straight out of the Taz as the Sharat Zion quotes. We already learned this Taz together. Reading the Megillah is a big obligation. As we learned previously, all the mitzvahs get pushed off from Megillah. As we learned in Siman Tafresh Beis Megillah overrides everything. Sid Beis and Mishnah Bruasham, Kamapratim Linyan Kiyash Vavudin Kan. Look over there in Hilchos Shema and apply them over here Vada, and you should know. The Kamobalai laws are lechel kol. So just like at night, you're not allowed to eat before you read the Megillah. Who hadin biyoim, same applies during the day. Afilu kvar his palo, also lechel kol. So even if you already davened, it's prohibited to eat before the recitation of the Megillah. Also in the morning. Similar to shofar and lulav. I just want to highlight this. We're not learning Hilchos Rosh Hashanah right now, but you see that you should not be eating from this Mishnah Berurah in Hilchos Purim. You should not be eating before shofar and lulav
But
and
in the
shofar.
morning, you're allowed to drink water before davening.
Water, that's water is not eating. I was learning the Mishnah. I was in Maseches Eruvin with one of my chavrusas. If you make a neder, I'm not going to eat. You could have salt and water.
Yeah, but it's mash from the lashon above that when you said achila, it includes shtia.
Why? Where? Where was that?
Just scroll up a little bit.
Yeah, where was this?
Dafka achila aser avol ti'ima ba'alma shari ba'kein tov yosel lahakal leish mashitim kodem Megilah v'lahakal legros plagam milchamala, right?
Yeah.
So it's mashma that it's only, he says ti'ima is only good, it's achila and shtia. Because he even goes on later
Where
on.
do you see shtia?
Yeah, but he even goes on to say what's the kula. The kula is right.
He says if you have,
So right, or kosher
yeah,
mizanav you have a shir ti'ima.
yes,
I know beitza pas o mashkin kashir beitza. So
right.
it's mashma that the shtia is part of the
The
achila.
question is that type of mashka, is that something that intoxicates also? You could already discuss that, but you want to argue that drinking too much is a problem. Could be.
I don't. I'm not.
If you're gonna drink a frappa mochaccino over there, and you're gonna drink a smoothie thing, that's like a meal
My
almost.
point was, I guess, in the morning, when
Yeah.
it says like shofar and lulav, you're allowed to drink on Rosh Hashanah before you go to davening, like any hilchos tefillah in the
Yes.
morning,
Yes.
you're allowed to drink water.
Yes.
But here we're more machmir. I don't think we allow you to have water between the Marav and the Megillah.
Oh, by Megilah, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, that would be the water would probably. Right. Yeah. Better. It seems like better not to have anything. Yeah, we're gonna be most stringent over here. It seems like.
We really lay down the law here.
Yeah. Yeah. Said even if you already davened, even. So you see, this is a big anti Kiddush movement before Musaf on Rosh Hashanah.
Yeah, when he says v'chein shofar, yeah,
That's
sure.
right. I just wanted to point that out. Teza in the Mishnah Berurah says even if the fast is difficult, you shouldn't eat. Vimu adam chalash. Let's say you're a weak fella. Hashia yazik the Berurah, so waiting is going to delay your health. You could actually come to be sick from this. Tasting a little is not enough for you. You're deshari lechel. In that case, you could eat. But you ask someone else to remind you
Have that shown.
to read the Megillah after. What do we see from this? The Mishnah Berurah only allows someone else to remind you to hear the Megillah, in which case, only if a guy's weak. If it's going to lead to sickness if he doesn't eat. It's implied from this Mishnah Berurah, says the Oz of a Hadar Mishnah Berurah, that in a regular case, lechatchila, you shouldn't rely on asking someone else to remind you to hear the Megillah and eat. See that right over here? Regarding Shema, they say it's permissible. So why didn't they allow it over here? Yeah, Shema is daraisa. Look at others. What we quoted from the Rishonim above. That they said you can't eat taste no matter what, because you see that they allowed people with extenuating circumstances, such as pregnant women, to hear the Megillah even earlier in order to eat. So you see that asking someone else to remind you to eat doesn't work, and then hearing the Megillah later. Because then that's what the women should have done, who were pregnant or people who had extenuating circumstances. Could be that they were more stringent because this mitzvah isn't every single night. It only comes up once in a while. Could be.
Your Rabbanim, what did they strengthen their words? What's the
Yeah, divrei chizuk. Pretty intense stuff, no?
Yeah.
Mishnah Berurah concludes this siman down here by saying, "Kasa prima gadam safek im kares Megillah." Let's say you're not sure if you read the Megillah. After Delorm Yumas as it's possible we don't say a doubt on something midrabanan you could be lenient, on something rabbinic you could be lenient. On Mishum dehu divrei Kabbalah, because divrei Kabbalah it's stronger, it's from Psukim. Comes along the Shar Tzion over here in Chavtes and says it's permissible to eat. If you're weak and it's going to damage your health, you could taste a little. It's permissible to eat. You should ask someone else to remind you. It's the Shar Tzion. I don't understand. If you're a chayla, afilu shemo sakana, if you're sick, even if it's not dangerous, we already learned in the previous what we learned this year, Siman Tov Reish Pei Vav, you don't even need to fast. And if you're already fasted, for sure you could eat before the Megillah. What's the question? Continues the Sha'ar Tziyun on the next page. And he says, if a little bit of eating it is enough, you could do more. Proof is from Hilchos Shemona Esrei and Siman Pei Tes. Someone who is sick, he's allowed to eat before davening. Look at the Chayei Adam, someone that has a weakness in the heart. It's possible he's allowed to eat before davening, even though over there you have a mitzvah of davening and Shema, of Shemona Esrei and Shema. So what do we see? That you weren't stringent by someone that was sick. Same applies over here. Nevertheless, it's correct for this individual who is sick and he needs to eat to ask someone else to remind him that he needs to read the Megillah after he eats or hear it. And this would help even if a person is weak, that now that he might come to be sick if he doesn't do such a thing. These Mishnah Brews, these are pretty serious.
The Baal Kori allowed to maybe an African between day and night. Let's say he's coughing and he needs a cup of water.
Yeah. I don't know. Especially how you going to say a bracha in the beginning of the Megillah.
Well, I'm saying, right, that is, let's say in the middle, like he starts having a cough attack, classic shalom.
Yeah.
I would assume the day is more makel, and especially if you were.
How could he say a bracha in the beginning, in the middle of Megillah?
Oh, but you're not drinking it for the shame shtia. You're drinking it to clear your throat.
Right. Yeah, it could be. It could be that it would be fine. Seen such a thing. I not by laning, but in another
And I
time.
would assume that the daytime might be better. Let's say you already fulfilled your obligation. You're laning for somebody else now. If you make a shahakal before the Megillah reading, then you make the brachas, and then you need, the water. If you already fulfilled your obligation,
Right.
you're laning for other people.
Yeah, for sure.
That would seem to be okay.
Right, yeah.
But in terms of clearing your throat or whatever.
Yeah. It's not that long. Come on, Koheles is longer. Everyone makes a big deal about it. Koheles is longer. Come on.
Koheles has more prakim.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it has more psukim.
No, I think
Also, you're stopping. You're stopping during the Megillah
Megillah,
too.
right? You stop being.
But actually, the
Yeah.
Balkori can cough then too.
Right. Depends who's there. Yeah.
Can't they cough during Haman? Or they could drink water during Haman, right?
Drink water during Haman. It's a good time, you know.
Again, it depends who's there.
Yeah, most places.
But the tzibur might be more of a tzibur for you coughing away and not being able to
Right.
recuperate.
Okay, try to do the best you could.
Definitely can't live with a sucking candy in your mouth during the day.
No. Yeah. At the end over here, he talks about, in the end of this Piskei Teshuvos, closing up the Siman, could be common. Person's not sure if you missed a word. Or a letter.
Hopefully the Sibor will notice, no?
No, I'm talking about a listener, whatever. Someone listening. Yeah, so hopefully they'll notice. But you have a doubt if a word was said properly or something. And he kept going, the Balkore. There's a lot of doubts over here. If you're lenient, you have who to rely on based on this Pri Megadim.
That way they can be Yotzi the Megillah?
Yeah. However, if you don't know, if you even read the Megillah, you should be stringent. Because you wouldn't forget such a thing, and we don't say Safik, Sveika Lahakel, you could be lenient. At the end of the day, for a regular healthy person, the eating, the drinking shouldn't be done.
Like we said, Rosh Hashanah this year is going to be a little easier.
Yeah, if a Baal Koreh Could do it without eating, drinking. The best thing that I've noticed, because I use my voice a lot, you know, we're all here every day. And the best thing to get a person's voice going is just sleep.
And
Yeah.
water, no?
A good sleep. You don't need water. You need good sleep. And you really don't need water. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
For those who aren't,
One,
well, your uncle or cousin, whatever, said vanilla Haagen-Dazs is very good for the throat.
yeah, look, all these things are good, but at the end of the day, all you got to do is you got something over here in the morning. If you don't eat or drink anything in the morning, you just have to, once you crack it, then your voice goes regular. There's something in there in the voice box. You know, you could do it through eating. You could do it through regular also. You know, so but the sleep is a key thing to get your voice strong. At night, everyone knows you're fasting. You know, you do the best you could, and this has been going on for thousands of years. You know, you think they had all the zachim that we have nowadays a couple thousand years ago? They got by.
I think people fasted much more normally.
Okay, so what? So
No,
what?
it doesn't, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like,
Right.
as far as like,
Anyways,
access to drinking water, whatever it
yeah.
is.
All right, so that's the simon. Very relevant, insightful, and I guess we'll review it maybe tomorrow or something. Do a full review on it. Okay?
Fantastic.
All right.
Have
Have a wonderful day.
a great day.
Okay.